Nintendo desperately needs to come out with a new console because this thing is so dated by now. Is it a great system? Does it have a phenomenal library? Is it great that you can take it on the go and use it at home? Yes. But it can also be true that this thing is incredibly outdated. There's zero reason to buy ports for it unless you desperately want to play something on the go, or if this is your only system. But the fact that the enhanced version of Skyrim isn't even on this thing, that's starting to say a lot. We're at the 5-year point, and that's around the time when these new systems come out. I believe it's a 6-year life cycle between the Wii and the Wii U, but if you look at Nintendo systems, it's around 5 to 6 years. And the thing is even when this thing came out, just like the Wii, it was already outdated. We were seeing graphics on it, frame rates, just issues with graphical fidelity at the very beginning because they decided to go with this style of system. Now, going with this style of system was honestly a great idea. There's a reason that this thing sells so well. You can take it on the go. You can play it at home. That right there in itself is amazing. And I like that Nintendo continues to do things that innovate. They're not sitting idly by just making a more powerful system, which I think that's a great thing. We need somebody in the market that is constantly doing something new. And that's what they did with this. And I feel like if it weren't for the Switch, the Steam Deck wouldn't exist. Or if it did, it wouldn't have been now. But now that the Steam Deck exists, I mean, this is just looking even more dated. And the fact that the Steam Deck is pretty close to the same price as a Nintendo Switch, and people are emulating Switch games on it, means that Nintendo really needs to step up their game. Now, Nintendo can rest on their laurels a bit. They can rest easy on the fact that Nintendo games are going to be on Nintendo systems, so right there, they've cornered the market on a massive amount of games that people are stuck playing on their specific system because they're never ever going to release those IPs to anybody else, which honestly is a smart business move, but kind of sucks for the rest of us because I feel like playing a Nintendo game on your computer, Series X or PlayStation 5, you'd have a much better experience than playing on this thing. Now, the reason I'm even making this video is because about 6 or 7 months ago, I made a video about should you buy the Nintendo Switch in 2022, and I ultimately said yes at the end of that. Now that we're near the end of the year, I don't know that my recommendation would hold, just because I feel like, at least I'm hoping, that there is a new Nintendo Switch around the corner. Now, I'm hoping it's a new Nintendo Switch, because Nintendo has a bad habit of not having their systems be backwards compatible, because they just change the system completely from the ground up. Now, I'm hoping they make a new Switch just because this sold so well, so it's a proof of concept. Hey, people love this idea of a portable system. They like being able to play it at home. This is great. We need to do this again. Plus, it would be amazing if all of those games behind me, that massive line of red of Switch games, would be able to work on the next system, whereas my Wii U games, tough luck, that's not going to happen. You're not going to put a disc on this thing. Instead, they re-released it again, but you could argue that's because barely anybody bought a Wii U. But because the Nintendo Switch is not a failure and is in fact a massive success, we are hopefully going to see just a new generation of this. They'll expand upon this type of system. But the main reasons that this system needs to be updated, why there needs to be a new one, is because I feel like the hardware is really holding back the games that are being put only on this system, like Bayonetta 3. You need to update the system so it can take advantage of all that's going on, so you can really take in the spectacle of the environments. Same with the new Pokemon game. I know a lot of that has to do with optimization and just basically lazy development on the side of Game Freak. They rushed that thing out because they wanted to hit the holiday season. You know, you could say that's all it is, but no, I will also say that it is also the limitations of this system itself. It's not just the poor optimization. Yes, we've seen how great games can look with proper and amazing optimization like Zelda Breath of the Wild, but even Zelda Breath of the Wild, honestly, that anti-aliasing and some of the frame rate issues I had with the game. I feel like day one with the Switch, I was like, this should have been more powerful. This should have been a much beefier system to at least handle 1080p sharp resolution at 60 frames per second and holding steady at that. All objects on screen 60 frames per second. I'm looking at you, Kirby. I'm looking at you, Scarlet. There's so many games that are doing this weird thing where they have these distant objects that are running at like half the frame rate than the things that are close. And I know why they're doing it, because again, the limitations of the system, but it is so jarring. It looks terrible. And I don't know if they just need more time to optimize these games, but looking at these really bad frame rates takes you out of the experience. You're no longer just enjoying the game because you're being distracted by all these other things that are holding it back from being as immersive as possible. Even Splatoon 3, like even recent releases from Nintendo itself, the pop-in, even just in the plaza, this is a small enclosed environment, and yet the pop-in here is terrible. I don't understand why they couldn't have these little dudes popping up, the little jellyfish people. They couldn't just exist in the frame. Why are they popping in as they get close? These are minor nitpicks, I know, but they're things that just stand out to me that make me question, why did you decide to do that? And why haven't you come out with at least a new Nintendo Switch? Please don't call it that. We were waiting for that mid-gen jump for the Switch because it would have made sense. The OLED is not a mid-gen jump. It does not increase the power at all as far as I'm aware, or at least not nearly enough to even make a difference. You just have a brighter, more crisp screen, which is great. That should be part of the mid-gen jump, but not the only part. It's like how there was an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro. It made sense for people that wanted the best of the best without having to wait the full, 4 years later after that to get the new generation console. It makes sense why you have a model like that. But unlike the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, I never really felt the need to upgrade to those mid-gen jumps, whereas the Switch, this thing needed it. This thing really needed it, just because of all of those different graphical fidelity issues as well as frame rate issues. I mean, The Witcher 3, I would never play The Witcher 3 on the Switch. I understand it is amazing and it's cool that you can play it on there at all, but it looks terrible. I would never play Doom on the Switch. Half of the ports that come to the Switch from Capcom are these weird cloud ports that I don't even want to get into cloud gaming right now, but I'm not a fan of it. And it takes your ownership even farther away from you than digital games do. So all in all, I think Nintendo, for their next generation of this system, I'm hoping they stick to the same type of system that this is. Basically, I want them to make a Steam Deck that plugs into a dock and is able to be played on the TV with a better online ecosystem, and just with at least enough power to withstand the next couple of years, just because when this came out, it was already outdated. So I'm hoping they at least come out with something that you can go, okay, I see what they're doing here. It's at least 1080p, 60 frames per second on everything. Anti-aliasing isn't terrible. I can live with this. And Nintendo's going to keep doing what Nintendo does, making their art styles and optimizing the hell out of their games. I mean, Luigi's Mansion looks great, plays great, runs great, but it can't just be Nintendo-developed games that look and run amazingly on this system. They need to make a system that has at least a little bit of wiggle room for developers to not have to spend as much time as Nintendo does with that optimization process to make it look good. I'm not going to sit here and start wishlisting all the different things that I want from the new system. That'll probably be a future video, but I did just want to put this out. I did want to put a statement out saying, hey Nintendo, if you're listening, and if if other creators are out there watching this, I encourage you to make this video as well. If you're listening, please give us some sort of sign that you're making a new system, because man, this system desperately needs an update. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, please do like the video and let me know if you think I'm wrong. You know, that's fine if you do. If you're perfectly happy with the Switch we have now, you don't want a new system, let me know why. I would love to hear it down below in the comments. And of course, please do subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.